The time Lamborghini made a Ferrari sold by Ford. Yeah, you heard me right. Today we're talking about an exotic car that's as bold as its story, the De Tomaso Pantera. Designed by a guy who gave his Lamborghinis, blessed with Ferrari-like looks, and powered by good old American V8s. So let's start off. What the heck is the De Tomaso Pantera? Well, it ended up looking like this. And that kind of looked like this. And it was sold next to this. Yeah, you're seeing that right. How did we get there? Well, first, let's backtrack a little bit. It was all designed by a little guy named Marcello Gandini. He kind of looks like this. And you may notice that bright yellow car back in the background. He designed that, actually. He also designed this car, the Diablo, the Mura, the Countach, and the EB110. He designed every poster car of the last 40 years. He just sat down one day and designed this car. He brought it to the modern era. But how did we get there? We have to go back to the inception of De Tomaso Automobilia, the De Tomaso history. It all started in 1957 with Alejandro De Tomaso, the mastermind behind his own car company. Named it after himself. What a guy. He was an Argentinian F1 race car driver with, an admiration for speed, elegance, and innovation. 1957, he was racing in F1 races. Here's a picture of him racing, and here's a picture of him racing with a helmet on. He finished in 9th overall in his best runs. He never finished first or second or third, but hey, the spirit is there, and that's all that matters. He ended up retiring in 1959 when he, after 13 laps, lost his brakes. And he's like, you know what? I'm officially retired. Let the fun begin. And what was his idea of fun? It was to start his own car company in a little place called Modena, Italy, right up the street from a little place where, this other lesser known Italian exotic car brand called Ferrari was making their own cars. It was 23 minutes away or 15 kilometers away. It was literally right up the road. This guy said, you know what? I'm going to do it too. Why not? De Tomaso's dream was to combine exotic Italian craftsmanship with bulletproof American power. Something people didn't know that they wanted yet, honestly. Here he is. Here's Alejandro. And here's the first car, the Vallelunga, made from 1964 until 67. Like, man, all right, it's a cool looking car. It was named after a track, as all cool cars are. Duh. It had 104 horsepower, 1.5 liter four-cylinder. He was using the engines that were easily available towards him. He sold 59. Yeah. They didn't sell that well. However, his next car, called the Mangusta, from 1967 until 71, stood for Mongoose. It had a 230 horsepower, 289 cubic inch V8. It sold 401, and it was pretty good looking. The Mangusta, it was Italian for mongoose because it's a cobra killer. It was a little bit of a jab towards Carroll Shelby, if you couldn't tell. It had a mid-mountain Ford V8, and the handling was less to be desired. However, he learned from this mistake. He learned from this car. He took what went wrong and improved upon it for the next time. And you're like, David, what was the next time? What was the next car? In 1971, Ford acquires 84% stake of De Tomaso Automobilia. That is huge. That allowed De Tomaso to sell his cars in America, and Ford was looking for something to take on the Chevy Corvette. In the Pantera, it fit that bill. It was exotic, it was fast, and it was powered by America. What more could you want? The deal? Ford would import the Pantera from Italy and sell it in Lincoln Mercury dealerships. And here we are on the Pantera. 71 to 92, the longest running car sold by De Tomaso. It was Italian for Panther. Oh, I'm sorry. It had a 330 horsepower, 351 Cleveland V8. It sold 7,260 units. That is not a lot compared to the million Corollas that were sold last year. However, it was a mid-engine supercar with a steel monocoque chassis, something that was frankly unheard of back in the day. It was easier to drive, easier to handle, and all around faster and a better product. And that's exactly what De Tomaso wanted. It had 4-barrel carburetors, a cast iron block, and a rock-solid reputation for reliability. It was paired with a 5-speed manual transaxle, the same gearbox you'd find in the Ford GT40 and later the BMW M1. It had a 0 to 60 time in 5.5 seconds and a top speed of 159 miles an hour. It came with 4-wheel independent suspension and disc brakes all around. It was advanced, it was exotic, and it was somewhat reliable. And that's a lot. That's a lot to ask for an Italian sports car. So the Pantera, it cost around 10,000 USD back in 1971, which is about 73 grand today, about 10 bands. About 10 bands back in the day, that's doable. I mean, in comparison, it was half the price of a Ferrari 365 GTB for Daytona, which cost around 20 grand back in the day, about 20 bands, if you know. And that is a killer deal if you're talking about what you get. You get an Italian sports car. You get that wedge-shaped design, designed by someone who literally made and designed their own Lamborghinis for half the price. I mean, you can't beat that. Give me something better. You can't. In 1973, it was Road Test Magazine's Import Car of the Year. And then in 1985, the Pantera GT5 was released. It was upgraded. It came with a body kit. It came with those fenders, that giant wang on the back. I mean, this thing looks sick. And it might look a little bit like something else you may know. Yeah, so are you catching on? Are you catching on now? However, sales started declining throughout the years that it was on sale. They started to go down. Poor Alejandro was like, hey man, I need some help. And who does he reach out to other than Marcello Gandini? You know, the guy who designed the Mira, the Countach, the Diablo, the EV110. He's like, hey dude, I need some help. I need you to bring the Pantera, my best-selling car, up into the modern day, the modern age. I need to have good styling, modern looks, and some power to back it up. So, Pantera went from this to this. The Pantera, you know, he's alive. It's revived. It's coming back swinging. It's the now called the Pantera 90 SI, sold from 1990 to 1992. The early 90s, one of the best places for automobile performance. It was Italian for fuel injection Panther. The SI stood for Series Internationale or something like that. Fuel injection, it was the rage of the 90s. It was a new thing. They were coming out with airbags around this time. You know, innovation that excites, guys. It had 305 horsepower, 302 Ford V8, and it sold a whopping 41. And 2 of them were crashed. One of them's on display in a museum, and all the other ones were sold in Europe only. So good luck getting one. This is what it looked like. Yeah, it kind of resembles a little other really famous car sold by a really tiny Italian brand called Ferrari. What was new on it? It had suspension redesign. It came with Brembo brakes right off the Ferrari F40. It had engine upgrades. It was refined, reliable, and it met the stricter emission standards. It was paired with that same ZF 5-speed transaxle, and it could hit 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds and top out at 170 miles an hour. However, this was not enough for poor De Tomaso Automobili. The finale. The Pantera SI wasn't just the end of Pantera, it was the end of for De Tomaso. It represented everything the brand stood for. Exotic design, brute American power. There's a little sense of rebellion. I mean, you're basically copying all your rivals. Might as well rebel in the ways that you can. It was built for people who wanted something different, something bold, something unhinged. The finale. In 1994, after a little hiatus from making cars, they came up with the Guara. Sue me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It was made from 1994 to 2004. Who would have thought? A whopping 52 were produced. And according to my calculations, that is around 5.2 cars per year. So, you know, whopping figures for this famed Italian exotic brand. And it went into liquidation in 2004. It's a shame, really, because these cars were cool. I can just imagine it now, a Ferrari-looking flagship model with a Coyote V8 in it, or the new 5.2-liter V8 GTD engine from the new Mustang GTD. However, the brand is dead. It's not coming back, guys. And that is a brief summary of one of the craziest collaborations in automotive history, how Lamborghini designed a Ferrari that was sold by Ford. Super cool story. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. And if you did, thanks for watching. Now what I need you to do is I need you to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And leave a comment if you enjoyed or have any details that I was missing or any extra fun facts that I didn't mention in this video. Have a good one.